If you are honest with yourself, much of your mental energy is a quiet calculation. What will they think of me? We check our phones, our appearance, our words, all in a relentless, exhausting pursuit of that single sweet hit of external approval. You rehearse conversations in the shower. You edit your sentences 3 times before hitting send. You measure your worth by the number of likes, the warmth of a smile, the tone in someone's voice when they say your name. And beneath it all runs a current of constant anxiety, a gnawing question that never quite goes silent. Am I enough? But here is the shocking truth, the central wisdom Alan Watts uncovered. The thing you are searching for, freedom, self-worth, and real acceptance, is fundamentally what you are sacrificing. The very moment you start to seek it outside yourself, you cannot find yourself in someone else's eyes. You can only lose yourself there. The approval you chase is the very prison you build. The validation you hunger for is the chain you forge. And the most twisted irony of all, the harder you try to be loved, the more you become someone unlovable, even to yourself. Modern life has become a vast mirror maze. Everywhere you look, you are seeking your reflection in the eyes of others. At work, you wonder if your boss thinks you are competent enough. At home, you question if your family sees you as successful. On social media, you refresh and refresh, hoping your carefully curated image will finally be met with the validation that proves you matter. But here is what nobody tells you. Mirrors do not show the real you. They only show what they think you are, filtered through their own anxieties, their own judgments, their own fractured sense of self. You are spending your life chasing an image that does not actually exist, trapped in an endless echo chamber of shoulds and musts. You should be more confident. You should be more agreeable. You should have achieved more by now. You should be different, better, other than you are. And with each should, you move further away from the only thing that could ever set you free. The simple, radical acceptance of who you actually are, right now, in this moment. Alan Watts understood this trap better than almost anyone. He saw how we torture ourselves with the need for external validation, how we turn life into a performance where we are both the anxious actor and the harshest critic. And he offered a way out, not through effort or achievement, but through a profound shift in understanding. He said, trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. The very act of seeking approval is the act of abandoning yourself. So let us walk through this together. Let us examine the mechanics of this prison we have built and discover the key that has been in our pocket all along. The first truth you must face is this: the approval you seek is a projection of your own internalized critic. Think about that for a moment. When you worry about what someone thinks of you, whose voice are you really hearing? Is it actually theirs? Or is it your own anxious inner judge, dressed up in their clothes? Let me tell you about someone I will call Sarah. To everyone at her marketing firm, she was the picture of competence. Well-dressed, articulate, always prepared. But what they did not see was the night before her presentation to the executive team. It was 2 a.m. Sarah sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by empty coffee cups and crumpled notes, rehearsing her opening line for the 47th time. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time today. No, too stiff. Hey, team, excited to share these insights with you. No, too casual. Morning, let me dive right in. Too abrupt. She tried 15 different versions of a single sentence, recording herself on her phone, playing it back, analyzing her tone, her cadence, the micro-expressions on her face. The next day, she delivered her presentation flawlessly. Afterward, her manager approached her. Sarah, great work, really solid data. She smiled and thanked him, but inside all she heard was, he said, solid, not excellent. He said, great work, not amazing. What did I do wrong? What did he really think? That evening, her colleague Maya texted, you killed it today. Sarah stared at the message for 5 minutes, analyzing it. Did she really mean it? Was she being sarcastic? Is the exclamation point genuine or performative? She typed and deleted 7 different responses before settling on a simple thanks. This was Sarah's entire life. Not the confident professional everyone saw, but a woman trapped in a courtroom where she was both the defendant and the prosecutor, where the trial never ended and the verdict was always not quite good enough. The irony? No one was actually judging her as harshly as she judged herself. Her colleagues respected her work. Her boss valued her input. But Sarah could not hear their actual responses because she was too busy listening to her own inner tribunal, that relentless voice that said, "You are not smart enough. You will say something stupid. They will see through you. You will be exposed as a fraud." This is the discovery Alan Watts invites us to make. You are the audience you are most afraid of disappointing. The approval you seek from others is really approval you are withholding from yourself. You have internalized a critic so harsh, so unforgiving, that you spend your entire life trying to prove to this inner judge that you are worthy. But here is the cruel joke. This judge can never be satisfied. You could achieve everything you ever dreamed of, and it would simply move the goalposts. Because the problem was never your actual worthiness. The problem is that you agreed to play a game where you have to constantly prove your worth. Watts often spoke of the self-defeating nature of trying to grasp the self. He would say that trying to improve yourself is like trying to make fire hotter by burning it, like trying to see your own eyes without a mirror, like trying to bite your own teeth. The self that seeks to improve itself is the very obstacle to improvement. The self-improvement trap, the approval-seeking trap, they are the same thing. They assume there is something fundamentally wrong with you that needs fixing, something unacceptable that needs to be hidden. And so you spend your life in a state of war with yourself, trying to edit, improve, and control the very consciousness that is doing the editing, improving, and controlling. But what if there is nothing to fix? What if the whole premise is wrong? What if, as Watts suggested, the only thing wrong with you is your belief that something is wrong with you? This brings us to the second stage of liberation, the radical act of letting it be. Now, when I say letting it be, I do not mean becoming indifferent or careless. I do not mean stop trying or give up. What I mean is something far more subtle and far more powerful. I mean accepting the fundamental uncertainty of others' opinions and releasing your need to control them. Alan Watts spoke often of the Tao, the way of nature, the flow of life that cannot be grasped or controlled. He would point out that a tree does not try to be a tree. A river does not anxiously wonder if it is flowing correctly. They simply are what they are, and in that simple being they fulfill their nature perfectly. But we humans, we have gotten clever. We have developed self-consciousness, and with it came the ability to imagine what others think of us. And somewhere along the way, we decided that this imagined opinion was more important than our actual experience. Think about a conversation you had recently where you were trying to impress someone. Maybe it was a first date, a job interview, or a dinner with people you wanted to like you. Notice what happened to the quality of the conversation. You were not really there, were you? Half of your mind was calculating, strategizing, carefully crafting your next response to create the right impression. You were performing the role of someone having a conversation rather than actually having one. Now contrast that with a conversation where you had nothing to prove. Maybe it was with an old friend, or a stranger you knew you would never see again, or a moment when you were so absorbed in the topic that you forgot to monitor yourself. What happened? The conversation flowed. You said things you did not plan. You laughed genuinely. You listened deeply because you were not busy preparing your next impressive statement. And here is the paradox. You probably came across as more interesting, more authentic, more magnetic than in all your carefully controlled performances. This is what Watts meant when he said the moment you stop trying to be accepted is the moment you become truly acceptable. Not because you have mastered some technique, but because you have stopped performing. You have stopped trying to be anything other than what you are. And what you are, beneath all the performance and anxiety, is enough. It always was. The opposite of seeking approval is not indifference. It is acceptance. Acceptance of the uncertainty. Acceptance that you cannot control what others think. Acceptance that their opinion, while it may matter for practical purposes, does not and cannot define your fundamental worth. This is the radical act, simply letting the opinions of others exist without needing to control them, without needing to win them, without needing to defend against them. It is like standing in a strong wind. The approval-seeking stance is to brace yourself, to push back, to fight the wind. You exhaust yourself trying to stand perfectly still, to appear unmoved. But the Taoist approach, the Watts approach, is different. You acknowledge the wind, you may even bend with it. But you do not let it blow you over, because you are rooted in something deeper than the wind's opinion of you. You are rooted in your own direct experience of being alive. This brings us to the third stage, the gift of authentic presence. When you stop spending energy on image management, something remarkable happens. That energy does not disappear. It transforms into something far more valuable, genuine self-expression. Let me tell you about an architect named Michael. For 15 years, he designed buildings that he thought his clients wanted to see. He studied trends, looked at what was winning awards, carefully crafted presentations that emphasized marketability and broad appeal. Every design meeting felt like a performance. He would present renderings with carefully rehearsed enthusiasm, watching his clients' faces for micro-expressions of approval or doubt. If they frowned at a particular feature, he would immediately offer to change it, even if he believed it was essential to the design's integrity. His work was competent. It was professional. It won no awards, sparked no conversations, and deep down he knew why. Every building he designed looked like it could have been designed by anyone. There was no signature, no vision, just a calculated attempt to give people what he thought they wanted. Then one day, sitting in his office after another soulless client meeting, he had a moment of clarity, or maybe it was just exhaustion. He looked at the rendering on his screen, a bland corporate office building that looked exactly like 1,000 other bland corporate office buildings, and he thought, I do not care if they like this. I do not care if they approve. I cannot do this anymore. The next project that came in was a small community library. The budget was tight. The client was a committee of well-meaning but aesthetically conservative board members. Old Michael would have given them something safe. New Michael decided he did not care. He designed what he actually saw. The space needed light, not just windows, but a relationship with the sky. It needed to feel like a sanctuary, not an institution. He pitched a design with an unconventional roofline, exposed structural elements, and reading nooks tucked into unexpected corners. It was strange. It was distinctive. It was undeniably his. The presentation was different too. He did not watch their faces for approval. He did not offer to change things at the first sign of hesitation. He simply showed them what he saw and let them decide. Half the committee hated it, called it impractical, too modern, not what a library should look like. But the other half, they did not just like it, they felt it. One board member, an elderly woman who had been silent the entire meeting, finally spoke up. She said, "This is the first time in 30 years of committee meetings that I have seen someone show us something real instead of something safe." The library got built. It won 3 regional design awards. But more importantly, Michael had discovered something. The world does not need another version of what it already has. It needs what only you can give. This is what Watts meant when he encouraged us to stop trying to improve ourselves and simply be ourselves. Not because self-improvement is bad, but because the premise of constant self-improvement implies that you are currently unacceptable. And when you operate from that premise, everything you create, everything you do, carries the stain of that unacceptability. It is like trying to paint a masterpiece while believing you have no right to hold a brush. But when you drop that premise, when you stop performing and start simply being, your unique shape emerges. And here is what nobody tells you. The world needs your unique shape, not a carefully sanded down version of you that fits everyone's expectations, not a calculated performance designed to offend no one. The world has enough of that. What it desperately needs is people willing to show up as themselves, with all their strange angles and weird gifts and particular ways of seeing. Your authenticity is not a luxury. It is not something you get to have once you have proven yourself worthy. It is the only thing you actually have to offer. Everything else is just a copy of a copy of a copy, a performance of what you think success or worthiness or acceptability looks like. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds nice in theory, but what about practical consequences? What about my job, my relationships, my reputation? If I just stop caring what people think, will I not become selfish, reckless, irresponsible? And this is where we need to make a crucial distinction. Stopping the need for approval is not the same as ignoring feedback or refusing to cooperate with others. You can take someone's opinion into account without needing their approval. You can adjust your behavior in a relationship without performing for validation. The difference is in the energy beneath the action. When you seek approval, there is a desperation, a grasping quality. You need the other person to see you a certain way because your sense of self depends on it. But when you are free from that need, you can hear feedback clearly, you can cooperate genuinely, you can care about others deeply, not because you need something from them, but because you are secure enough in yourself to actually see them. This is the paradox at the heart of Watt's teaching. Freedom from the need for approval does not make you cold or disconnected. It makes you more capable of genuine connection because you are finally showing up as an actual person rather than a performance. So, let us talk about what really happens, the second you stop seeking approval. Imagine your mind is a lake. For years, you have been constantly throwing rocks into the water, hoping to see a specific ripple. You throw a rock and think, if I say this, they will like me. You throw another and think, if I do that, they will respect me. You throw rock after rock after rock, each one a bid for approval, a calculated move in the endless game of image management. All you create is perpetual turbulence and distraction. The surface of the lake is never still. You cannot see clearly. You cannot rest. You are exhausted from the constant effort of throwing rocks and trying to control the ripples. And beneath all that turbulence, you have forgotten what the lake actually looks like when it is still. The turn, the shift, the liberation, it is simply this. You stop throwing rocks. You just stop. Not because you have achieved some great spiritual state, not because you have finally perfected yourself. You stop because you realize the game is rigged, the pursuit is endless, the need can never be satisfied. And in that stopping, something extraordinary happens. The ripples begin to settle, the turbulence begins to calm, and slowly, gradually, the surface of the lake becomes still. And in that stillness, you finally see clearly. You see your own reflection, not distorted by the constant agitation, but as it actually is. And perhaps, for the first time, you realize, this is enough. This was always enough. The beauty of the lake, the true nature of your self-worth, is only revealed when the surface is allowed to go perfectly still. Not through effort, not through achievement, through release, through letting go, through the radical act of simply being without the constant need to prove, perform, or perfect. So what happens the second you stop seeking approval? You become a solid place in a chaotic world. Think about what that means. In a world where everyone is performing, adjusting, calculating, desperately trying to be seen as acceptable, you become someone who is simply there, rooted, real, present. People can feel this. They may not be able to articulate it, but they can sense when someone has stopped performing. It is like walking into a room where everyone is trying too hard and finding one person who is simply at ease. You are drawn to them, not because they are trying to be impressive, but because they are not trying at all. They have dropped the exhausting project of managing your perception of them, and in that dropping, they have become actually interesting. This is what Watts meant when he said, your job is simply to remain awake yourself. Stop trying to wake up the world. Your consciousness is your own domain. You are not responsible for convincing everyone of your worth. You are not in charge of managing their opinions. Your only job, your only real job, is to remain awake to your own direct experience, to show up fully in your own life. This requires a kind of conscious distance. Not distance from others, but distance from the inner urge for approval. And this is a practice, not a one-time achievement. You will feel the urge arise. You will notice yourself calculating, performing, seeking that hit of validation. The practice is simply to recognize it, to watch it arise, to feel the pull of it, and then without judgment, without making yourself wrong for feeling it, to let it pass without acting on it. It is like watching clouds pass across the sky. You do not try to grab them. You do not judge yourself for the fact that clouds exist. You simply watch them drift by, knowing that your true nature, like the sky itself, is not disturbed by their passing. And gradually, with practice, something shifts. The urge comes less frequently. The inner judge's voice grows quieter. Not because you have defeated it, but because you have stopped feeding it. You have stopped agreeing to play the game where your worth is constantly on trial. And in that space, in that freedom, something new emerges, a quiet confidence, not the loud performative confidence of someone trying to convince others, but the solid, unshakable confidence of someone who has stopped needing to convince anyone. The confidence that comes from knowing, really knowing, that your worth is not up for debate. The moment you stop needing the world's applause, you will hear a much quieter, much deeper sound. It is the sound of your own breath, the sound of your own heartbeat, the sound of your own perfectly realized existence, not as some future achievement, but as a present reality. This moment, exactly as it is, with you exactly as you are. That is the moment you truly begin. Not begin to achieve something great, not begin to finally become acceptable, but begin to actually live, to show up fully, to offer your unique gifts without the constant anxiety about whether they will be received correctly, to connect with others from a place of genuine presence rather than desperate need, to walk through the world as a solid place in the chaos, a still point in the turning world. So leave a comment below and share one area of your life where you are ready to simply stop performing. What would change if you dropped the need for approval in just that one space? What would you do differently tomorrow if you knew no one was watching, no one was judging, no one's opinion could touch the truth of who you are? That freedom is not somewhere in the future. It is here, right now, the second you stop reaching for it.